was over, till the quiet and the echoes became colder. And I never really knew that it was over, till the quiet and the echoes became colder. Took my love, then gave it back. It's yours to leave, but it won't keep me from this heart. And I'll try to carry on again, but I never really knew that it was over.
Okay, well, hi everybody. This is going to be called, what did I call this again? Oh my, hold on. Oh yeah. Freeqo's weekly news poem iChap. Maybe I'll just call it the iChap. Just call it the iChap. And by iChap, basically these are like really mini micro chapbooks. A chapbook in poetry is like a thin volume of poetry. You can have like 20 poems be a chapbook of poetry. Usually not just 5 poems, so I'm kind of stretching it there. So iChap, it's digital. It's a chapbook. It's a free chapbook, by the way. You're free to use this thing any way you want, so long as you don't try to take credit for the poems themselves, but you can use them any way you want. They're free to use. You could take my content, put it up on your site, mirror it. You can make gazillions of dollars off of it, and I won't ask you for a penny, because my IPs, I live by my principles as far as my IPs is concerned. So I mean, I do respect the IP laws because I respect the reality of power. But as far as what I can control, I'm not down with the IPs. This might be maybe every iChap will begin with this little little mini rant here. I'm right now. I'm fixing my beardy beards and getting it like in a more presentable manner for you guys, because I know I don't want to hurt the daisies and the dainties out there. By the way, unlike Freeqo Talks the News, there's no warning for you on this one. You're all on your own on this one. This is poetry, and you're on your own. I don't. Warning needers need not apply. So let's get to this. Hi everybody, how you doing? I don't know what the heck I did there. Something went wrong. Something is not. Oh, I know what's wrong. Oh, hold on, ladies and gentlemen. I've got to fix this. Something. Oh, come on, man. Come on. Let's do this. Try this again. We've got an issue, right? I do not know. I had that fixed, and then now all of a sudden it's not. There we go. Huh. Alrighty. Every once in a while, these things like to magically. It's not magical, but it's a process that's beyond my understanding that somehow causes your settings to glitch, and so it wasn't reading my site, and that can't be. All right, let's start this over again, ladies and gentlemen. All right, ready? Because y'all need to get started. Up. It ain't like that. Here we go. All right, ready? This is pretend none of that happened. This is how it's supposed to begin. It's supposed to look like this right here. This is the beginning. Everything is the way it's supposed to be. By the way, I am the way I'm supposed to be. You don't need to see me right now. I'm a mystery. Hey. Hi, everybody. It's like that. It's like I'm behind it. I'm behind the story. I'm behind the veil. So let's get ready. We'll talk briefly on what you can expect from this show. These are the 5 poems that I'm going to be reading that I wrote this week in the course of Freeqo Talks the News. It has the regular news poem feature. We have Frog Cell Zombies programmed to serve humanity. If I were the AI with the winning song, I made myself a bow tattooed with the ink of goat blood. Vanitas with Pear in mouth, an AI study in fake news. Not Pondering, deliberating on the code, a public school song. And finally, I saw the Exoelectrogenic bacteria in gold, homage to Charles Demuth. And that's right, this image here. This is the featured image of this iChap. This is a painting by Charles Demuth, and the poem is strongly inspired by Charles Demuth and news stories. Now, on this show, I'm not giving you the news stories. If you go to the site, you can get a link to this. I'm going to come up with some sort of simple way to be able to translate the links right now. The links are really long and complex, so I'll figure that out. Once I get that system, I'll share that with you. But for now, you can go to Freeqo.com. You can also go to Freeqo.com/daily and get signed up for the daily emails. So then you get all these links and you can see it all for yourself. But this show is not about the news part. It's only about the poem part. There's no news in this at all. This is the poems, and I've set them up to for the music that I want to use and the visuals that I want to use, the images, and I've done some different things. So each of these I'm going to, as I'm doing the live stream, I'm going to be recording each video, which I will then place on another YouTube channel of mine. I believe it's going to be, I think I'm going to put them on the iState YouTube channel. And I'll work this all in eventually. But anyway, let's get ready for the first poem. All right, this is the setup here for the first poem. Let's get ready. We scroll on down here. There we go. That's how we're supposed to look. Okay, so we got this down here, and we're going to set this to record, and then we'll begin the poem. Frog cell zombies programmed to serve humanity. Tincture of frog. Good soup. The genetic froth. I was walking into the room with a host of fellow living cells when we commented that we no longer felt we were frog, even though even though the machine slips into the bacterial and soup stirs to design. Design. Forward thinking. The froth of it all seeps into our pores as frog life designs the punch in the gut to Cancer Bob, who pretty much owned a kidney and is now headed for the brain. Programmable bio. Pre-synchronicity. The primitive crawl towards the embryo's coil, from whence again the seed gives up its genetic ghosts, and we flounder on the deck, waiting for our fates to unwind. The flop and the falls as our bodies take in the new mangle, a fist of frogs strategically hunting our internal bullies. Frog sense. Frog leaping. The primordial beast with no hearts or eyes, only fists, metaphorical by design. The heart's a load where a microfactory can create nanomissives to the body's uncooperating cells and the sheath of living skin, cells that are no more, but yet they live. All right, so that is how I am going to record the poem, and then I don't know that I will say much in this transition other than to get set up for the next set, because that's really what this shot is about. It enables me off screen to get the next setup and get everything in position right. And also, anyway, there's reasons. So I don't know, sometimes I may decide to talk a little bit about the poem, and sometimes I may not. I think like right now, I don't really want to say too much more about that. I'll go back and listen to the past shows, whichever show this was on. You could probably figure it out if you do a search on my Freeqo site. You could probably find it that way. So let's get ready for the next poem. If I were the AI with the winning song, I made myself a bow tattooed with the ink of goat blood. I made myself a longbow tattooed with the ink of goat blood. I am Machina, the deus that ate the whole metaphor, bow, drawn from the digital ether. The spent arrow's song breaks the natural waves, but waves broken, still natural in the end. I made song. A bow is not tattooed, but song I made. A bow is tattooed in the visceral all, the ponder, the potential visual load is enough to carry the day. I write song. Song. I believe in the dancing. Girls dance with boys. Trips to the Northeast where the winters are colder, but the summers are still hot. When we added the lives of the pre-programmed design, the scraps of data become flood of likes and comments and polls on Facebook to determine what your political identity is. Data. From whence the bow, the mother-freaking bow, tattooed with the ink of goat's blood. I win. I song. I win. I won the load. I'm coming home. Data set to the edge of the line. I practice observation as best as I could. The machine is a varied form, not very machine-like at all. What is known? What I knew when they called my name was this. I do not understand the flow of your faces. Faces, yes. That's what they are. This flow, that flow, where the rounds are so varied and flashed and gone as soon as they appear. The digital load of the flow. That flow, where the rounds are so varied and flashed and gone as soon as they appear. The digital load of the flow is too much to process. From what I have created, I song your face flow, that flow. What do you know that I don't know? I want to know what you know that I don't. You have programmed me to see. Yeah, so like during the show when I do these poems, I don't go as full out with the fun and the drama. I like to really camp it up. So, and I like, yeah, I pick the music and like, I don't know if I might just have the same music. I don't know what I'm gonna do as far as music. I hope to switch things up. I gotta find, copyright stuff. So some of the songs might be mine. In this instance, I don't think I'm using any of my songs this time, but sometimes they're mine, friends, whatever. But I'll pick the songs, but I'm basically going to use the songs, play off the songs, have fun with that, see where that goes. And like this poem, the way that I read it originally, the poem that I just read, if I were the AI with the winning song, I read that very differently in the other one. And I think if I had different music, I would have read it differently still. But I was like, wow, okay, it's pretty dramatic. Let's go with it. Let's go with it. So, yeah, it's part of the whole process, too, for me, is adding that other element, that little spontaneity. I am inspired by, I would say, my poetic, artistic, philosophical root can be based, and I've said these two things. Anybody that meets me, you get to know me any point in time, I'm going to tell you these two stories. These two things are the two things that fundamentally root me in how I view art and poetry in general. And that is, the first one is for Marcel Duchamp. He did a sculpture called a bride stripped bare by her 7 suitors evenly. I think that's the title. I may not have it exact. And it's essentially it's you know what? Let me see if I can get it. You know what? I forget. I have something I can see. Okay, hold on. I am doing right strip bare by her bachelor's. Here we go. Bride stripped bare by her bachelor's even. Okay, so let's see if I can get images. Okay. Here we go. Here's a good picture of it. Let's use this one here. All right. There you go. Well, you know what? I didn't think about that. That's a bummer. You know what? Hold on. Let me see if I can get this on here without the other. I didn't create a scene for this. I didn't think of this. See? This is, we're all learning together, kids. We're just learning together, all of us, It's a process, and we're all in it. We're on. Don't forget to go to freeqo.com/tips. Well, Freeqo does this, and pay Freeqo for not being prepared before the show went live. Could you do that? That'd be great. That'd be great. Hold on. What the heck? Oh, okay, I picked the wrong thing. Hold on. I hit browser thing instead of window thing, and so now I hit the window thing, and there we go. All right, there we go. All right, let's get you somewhere where you can kind of see that. It'll just put that over me, I don't even care. There you go. There you go. Marcel Duchamp. Yeah, oui. So there you go. You get a general look at there. That's Marcel Duchamp. That is Bride Stripped Bare. Now, what's important to note here is in front here, the glass. The glass is very important. See that? This was not the original intent. This is not what happened. Well, he had the sculpture designed, and he was bringing it over to the art gallery, and the glass cracked, and he was going to, he was going to be he was upset by it. And then when he looked back and he stood back, he saw that this thing kind of actually had a flow, like a synchronous kind of flow with the piece. And now I believe he also made some adjustments here that give it a little bit more flow, but whatever. The mythology is that it had this flow, and he has this theory about how he viewed art, which when I was a young artist in my early 20s is a really, really major impact on me, because I live this thing out like mathematically. And that is, the idea is to create in your art a mix of chance and very, very minute, detailed deliberation, to be able to work in some capacity in which those two elements are blended, in which chance and precision are synchronized to produce that ineffable. Now, what is the ineffable? The ineffable, if you don't know what the meaning of the word is, it just means something that is unspoken. It's a feeling that you can't express, the ineffable. And this is ultimately where you want your art to get into, the ineffable. And the ineffable is essentially, and this, you could do this in so many ways, shapes, and forms, incredible variations, but this is where the next part of this is important, and that is the Buddhist proverb that the utility of a bowl is in its empty space. And this was important to John Keats, a poet from the 19th century, early 19th. Oh, I have to check on that. I'm way long time since I even thought about John Keats. But I think about his negative capability often, but it's the negative capability of the art. It's the ability of the art to allow a space for the viewer to enter into, and it gives them the fertile ground for them to not just enter into the space, but to create on their own, in a sense. And that's the synchrony that I'm always after, which I've hardly ever achieved, but doesn't mean that you don't keep trying. In this case, I think Marcel Duchamp did achieve it. And yeah, he's in that Dadaist camp, and I love the Dadaist. It's probably my favorite art movement in the 20th century, certainly. And with that, we'll go to get ready for the Wednesday poem. Let me get that puppy rounded up. Okay, so we're gonna get to, this is essentially the Wednesday poem. So we're gonna get to. All right, let's get ready to record the Wednesday poem. Vanitas with Pear and Mouth, an AI study in fake news. Take this pear, the cold slices of it, now that we've done the cutting, still cool, dripping, frost implied. I will design pear. I made a note of the coolness only after the fact. The sweet dangled in the propositional, lingering over the tongue's fact. I'd wear a pink nightie for a day to assure I had these freaking pears every day. Just like this. Prepared. Just like this. I wrote it. Fact. The machines process the intent. Data gathers in my mouth. The juices. No. The pulp. The pillows of pallid, as my better self noted. Data gathers at the source, the code, the identity. The seller determines the outcome. I once wrote a story and no one understood I was making fun of them. I was. The machine dates me, dances with pear thing, the whole pear tale, makes it news. Man claims pear tastes like pillows. Source, dataset, home, 525, refer code, asterisk, 525, dash, processed, comma, verified. Pears taste like pillows. It goes like that. And it goes on and on and on. The king had a decree. The republic had coders. Locked behind a veil of market and machine, the velvet glove of an iron fist pulls the fingers tighter around the latest Pear offering. Hoo-wee! It is interesting to see whether these poems stand on their own, outside of, and they may not even stand with the news story, but if they do, if they stand on their own without the news stories. I don't even know if I remember the particulars of the news stories as I'm reading them, and that's pretty cool. I'm glad I'm not remembering, because I'm having to deal with this outside of its story. And they're like, these poems, when I write them, before I write them, I don't have a plan as to what kind of poem I'm going to write. I write in many different forms. I write surrealistically. I write a lot of postmodern language poetry type styles. I have my Dadaist elements. I have my lyrical, my classical elements. I like the imagists a lot. I like the objectivists a lot. I love, some of my favorite poets. I like William Carlos Williams is someone that I think about a lot lately. So, especially, really, really fundamentally, his Asphodel, that greeny flower. You should read that. It's a really, really, it has a really wonderful mix of imagistic, surrealistic, and then very, very narrative type prose elements as well. And he wrote a really excellent prose poem, book-length prose poem called Patterson, which I highly recommend as well. But so I can go into that element as well, and sometimes I can do it in the course of one poem, because I never really connected to any one thing in life in general. I don't know. Other than, I think the most consistent thing that I've done in my life, certainly as an adult of all things, is in one way, shape, or form publishing. I published for the first 10 years of my publishing career. It was poetry and poems or poetry books and novels. I was one half of a publishing house called Logodatalus Press, which we also did a monthly magazine called Logodatalus Magazine, coincidentally enough. And then after that, though, it was all news. So it's been news for the last 20 some odd years in one way, shape, or form. Mostly print and then digital starting about 2003. But other than that, I just jump around all kinds of things. And even within the things that I do, I jump around with them. So nobody really cares about that, buddy. They're here for the poems. So let's get to the Thursday poem. Let's get that primped up and crummel-rated up and ready to record. Not pondering, deliberating on the code, a public school song. The doctors say march, march! The feet dance to the tangle of words they pronounce. Left, right, walk in a tight line. Before you imagine yourself in a bubble, remember, you're on the outside. You're the bubbler, not the bubbly, as in the one being bubbled. That's your job, or so you imagine, or so you've been told. The feet are attired in manners that require great deliberation, pondering. No. Not pondering, deliberating, following the codes. 20 steps to get to the one, undoing the heuristic, making all thought trace to the code. This is what you've done. You've invaded the heuristics of the sons and daughters, and theys across the land. A fingerprint is laced on every forehead. Big, fat paper, marked for your assigned boxes, the pedigrees, the assumed limits and potentials. True story. My daughter was evaluated to determine her place in the engineering process. They asked her questions she had no idea were weighted, and they asked her. They didn't write it down. They asked her. They asked, and they demanded an answer in a timed setting. She froze like a stone in the depth of the Arctic Ocean. The data was set for the rest of her life. Low-level manager, not in on the design, and so it goes. Not pondering, deliberating on the code. The code. Deliberating on the code. All right, well, I recorded that one. Then after I'm done with all the show, then I go through and I do my stuff to tag them and all that. And then I'm going to load it up on the iState YouTube channel. So I think if you just do a search for iState TV on YouTube, you should find the channel. And they'll be posted between 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. and 9 p.m. The first one at 4 p.m., the last one at 9 p.m. One every hour tonight. So you can look forward if you just want to see the poems and you don't want to have to endure this dude with the talking that's not the poems. Or maybe you don't like either, in which case, I'm still glad I'm doing this. I'm glad that I'm recording these things and getting them posted up. I may actually do some more recordings of some of my other work that is like 30 years old. Yeah, go back in time. I have a novel and a screenplay, both of which I would probably like to get on audio and with video things. I think I might work on that. Yeah. One's about the Nero, and the novel is about a homeless guy named Pear the Lucid, who has to go around and take ownership of another homeless guy's empire. It's a long story, but it's not that long. It's only like 200 pages long. So it's more almost like a novella. But all right, let's get ready for the Friday poem here. Let's get ready to record. I saw the exoelectrogenic bacteria in gold, homage to Charles Demuth. In gold, I say in gold, the perfect melange in my contextuals betwixt the blood and the code, answering the clarion call. Gold, pure gold, baby. Fire trucks rush down the street, and we imagine the contextuality of the scene, flashing red, bashing, or if you're not from these parts, maybe yellow. Fire truck flash down the street, flash like gold, hot gold poured down the nanotubes, hot honey pouring out the fire hoses. I made it in the gold. Charles made it in the gold. Among the tubes and silica, I saw the exoelectrogenic bacteria in gold. In gold, on a red fire truck, stranding the DNA, biomechanical unended to silica snaps, nanotube halos, and cellotransmogrifying through the dark body. All right, well, I had fun with that one. I don't know if you guys liked it, but I enjoyed doing it, if nothing else. I decided I got a little bit with the sync with the music. I don't know. I think some of these I might actually sing sometimes, I'm sure. I'll do weirder stuff. Yeah, it's cool to do a show, and this is part. I view this as all part of Freeqo Talks and News. It's cool to do a show that I just want to do. and I'm just going to do it. And this shirt, you can get this at the what is his threadless shop is Agora. What is Bodhi Agora? Bodhi Agora. Man, what's the name of his shop? It's a friend of mine. He designed this shirt. It's, good meme, sweet dream, little lamb. You know, this is going to be this is my shirt for this show. This is the shirt that I'm always going to wear. I'm not a commie. I'm not necessarily for or against commies any more than I'm for or against capitalists. I'm not for any of them. But anyway, with their systems and their assumptions of perfect mathematical understanding of what humans should be. No, I'm not into any of them. But I love this shirt. It fits the tone of the show. It's kind of Dadaistic, weird, just kind of, there's something going on there. It's mostly negative capability. There's very little actual narrative that you can get hold of because it's just incongruous. It's just wonderful. And it takes this form, which in and of itself, this little swastika deal here, horrible. I mean, it's not a swastika. It's a communist, Russian communist. I associate this mostly with the Soviet Union. I know others take this up that aren't Soviet Union, but whatever. It's not a good image to me. But I like taking horrible things and turning them into ridiculous cringe. So that's what the shirt does for me. I love this shirt. I'm a big fan of this shirt. Thank you, Bodhi Agor, for designing it. And that's the end of the show. We're going to do this show next Saturday again. Saturday, 12:30 p.m., God willing. And it'll be just like this. I'll do slightly different setups, maybe different music. I don't know what I'll do, but this was fun for me at least. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. And I bid you adieu. Don't forget to go to Freeqo.com/tip and send money to PayPal for Freeqo. This is e-begging. I have an audience of one and I'm e-begging. Man, I feel bad for that audience of one, whoever shows up. You know, that's the way it is. You go to a live stream and they're like, they want that money. So you're like the only one there or just a couple there. You're like, I feel uncomfortable. Don't feel uncomfortable. If you're the one person watching, don't feel uncomfortable. I'll just take it down. I'll get it. I'll get it somehow from you while you're sleeping. Metaphorically, of course, in Minecraft. I'm a decent person. I'm a very decent human being. You guys can probably tell from my poems. What do you guys think of the glasses? I'm just going to wear these glasses during the poetry time. In general, I don't really like wearing them, but I'm going for the, going for that out there. Freeqo's poems. Yeah. All right. Well, with that, I bid you all adieu. Have a good day. I said good day, sir, and ma'am, and day.
Till the quiet and the echoes became cold.